Hi guys, so today we're going to be answering some more questions from Celia. Celia asks, how best to get back into running again after having stopped for 1 year? So this is a cool question for me because this is something that happened to me in 2018. So what happened, we were living in Ottawa and this is my wife and I, Christine. So we were living in Ottawa and I was working and Christine was helping me run the business and that was all going great. And I was running a lot because I'd just done 3 marathons in a row, one in the spring of 2017. I think that was my first. One in the fall, and then another one in the spring. That was the Ottawa Marathon. But then Christine finished university and she had been in school for a long time doing an anthropology degree. So she was really keen to go traveling, and I'd said, when you finish university, we'll take a year off. I'll take a year off work, and we'd saved up some money and we went traveling. So that's what we did, and we went to Asia, and it was awesome, and we had an awesome time. And I don't know, I guess I'll not get into that too much today. Actually, we were chatting last night, and she was like, it'd be a good video, like the best and worst places you've run. So I might do that after this one, because it was certainly challenging to keep running during that time. So I'll come back to that in a sec. But for your question, Celia, I think the main question is, why did you stop running in the first place? And that can be a difficult one to answer. And you've got to really look at, try and be honest with yourself about why you stopped. Because if you really want to get back into it, you need to know why you want to get back into it. I mean, I'm not a psychologist, obviously, but just from a general advice standpoint, I'd be like, why did you stop? Why do you want to get back into it? Start there, because if you don't know those things, then you might not succeed, right? So it's obviously there's some sort of psychological reason. That sounds a little intense, but you know what I mean. The reason you stopped is probably, maybe it was injury or something more physical, but it was probably more to do with where your head was at. And I know that's certainly what happened with me, because in 2018 I didn't stop completely, but I didn't stop because I was injured or anything like that. I stopped because of lack of motivation, change in habit, change in circumstances, change in the enjoyment of running. So yeah, I don't know, you don't have to sit down and write it down, but maybe chat to someone like a close friend or a partner about why you stopped and why you're keen to get back into it. And that might help you just articulate and understand in your mind what happened. Let me just have some coffee. It is like 5 a.m. or something. I'm shooting these very early in the morning because that's when I'm most motivated, but that's why I'm also talking quietly. I'm trying not to wake Christine up. And Socks, I didn't kick him off the couch, but he jumped off the couch and he looked quite irritated when I set up all these lights and the camera and stuff right next to his bed. He wasn't very impressed. So, yeah, why did you stop? Be honest. Why do you want to get back into it? Be honest. Once you know those two things, then you will be more likely to stick to it. Why did I stop? I didn't stop so much, not until we got to India. Then I completely stopped. But basically what happened, from the time we got away in the start of I think it was like the spring 2018, we went to, where did we go first? We went to Thailand for a bit and then to Vietnam. And my running volume decreased from sort of marathon training volume, which I don't know I think I was at like 50 to 70k per week, like just before I left, because I was training for that Ottawa Marathon, which went great. Then when I got to Asia, in Thailand, it probably dropped to about 5k 3 times a week. I might be being generous there. And it was a huge drop, and it wasn't like I was doing anything else. I mean, I was kind of bumming around most of the time. Like, we would take photos, we would go for food, we would go to the beach. Not to the beach that much. Yeah. I would do a bit of hiking and stuff, but it was all for fun. It wasn't for fitness. The main things that stopped me, one, I didn't have a goal, right? I wasn't training for a marathon anymore. I thought we're going to be away in Asia for about a year. So I started looking at like different marathons that I could maybe train for, because I knew what was happening. I knew I'd lost all my motivation because I had nothing to train for. But I didn't know where we were going to be, right? So I was looking at like the Bangkok Marathon in 6 months, and I was like, I don't know if we're going to be there. So that was a big problem, the lack of goal. So that was the first reason. The other was because, I'd say that was the main reason, because the second one, I think I could have pushed through if I had a good goal. And the second one was just, it was less pleasant. So the main reason it was less pleasant is because Thailand's very hot, obviously, but it's also very humid. And I would find the runs, I would go on a run, I would try and go early, but I would get still really, really hot and sweaty and sticky and uncomfortable. And I just didn't want to keep going. You know, I wasn't used to that kind of climate. Certainly I'd been running all through the winter and into the spring. In Canada, it was really cold in Ottawa. So that was another problem. And then probably the third thing was that my habit was always to run to and from work. And I would usually do my training kind of, what I would do, I would park the car like quite far. I used to work downtown in Ottawa, so I would park the car quite far away. Where was it? Bank Street? Well, I worked on Bank Street. I would park it up the other end of Bank Street. There was a free place to park, and it was about a 5K run from work. But what I would do, if my run was supposed to be longer that day, if it was supposed to be 12K, I'd just arrive a bit earlier, do my I'd park where I could park for free, because it wasn't downtown, it was sort of just a bit out of town. Do my little run on the way to work, or if I had to do hills or whatever, I would do it all on the way to work. Then I would get to work, and then on the way home, I'd just do like an easy run to get back. And that was my main running habit. So I was running 4, 5, 6 times a week, sometimes doing that mostly, and then at the weekends. And that was my habit, right? When I got to Asia, what I was doing, did I do that at first? No, that was later, but I'll talk about that in a sec. But when I first got there, I didn't have that habit anymore, right? So I'd wake up in the morning, I didn't have like a commute to sort of prompt me to start running. So that was an issue. So there was those 3 things. It was the lack of goal, it was the fact that running was a bit more unpleasant, and then it was the disruption in my habits. They were the 3 things that stopped me running. So Celia, I would have a think, when you stopped, what were the causes? Was it stuff like that? So some of them might be like more practical, some of them might be more like psychological and motivational, and just try and figure out what was going on there. What I was going to touch on later in the spring, in the mornings, we were back in Thailand, but I was doing this thing where you would teach English online, but I wasn't really teaching, I was talking to people, so they would practice English, and it was just a way to earn a bit of money while we were there, because we were there for like almost a year. And you didn't get paid a lot, but it was, you know, it was quite fun. I would chat to, you know, people would log on and you'd chat to them. All you had to do was be able to speak English, and they would just practice, and you would just have to make conversation. It was quite good fun, actually. You learned, it was a bit boring sometimes, but I learned a lot about different people from different places, and that was cool. Anyway, the reason I bring that up is because that further disrupted my habits, because after we'd been away 4 or 5 months, I was like, man, I got to get running again, even though I don't have a race. So I'd started running in the morning, but when I did this chatting to people online in English, the only comfortable time to do it was in the morning, like at 5, 6 a.m. when it wasn't too hot, because I could tolerate, you know, sitting in the kitchen without an air conditioner. We just had a fan, and I could chat. I would usually do 2, 3, 4 hours of chatting, and that was my running time, right? That was like 5 a.m. to 9 or 6 a.m. to 10 or something like that. And then by 10 o'clock, it's boiling hot and very uncomfortable to run. And in the evening, it didn't really cool down until very late night. and I'm not a night person, right? I don't work at night. That's why I get up early to do these episodes. I don't work at night. I don't really exercise at night. So that's another thing, like knowing yourself, Celia, for you is like, had you set yourself up for failure a little bit where you're trying to run at a time that doesn't work for you? That was, I sort of knew that I needed the mornings, but that was a problem because I also needed to work just to earn a little bit of money when we were away. So all those things combined, right? No goal, uncomfortable to run, habits were broken, and later my running time of the day was taken up by something else. And those 4 things, I was done. I was barely running at all. Like I said, like 2 or 3 5Ks a week. Let me have a drink. That'll wake me up a bit. And then so we were in Thailand for a bit, then Vietnam, then Thailand again. Then we went to India. And when I went to India, it's funny, you can see this on my, I looked at my annual like running volume calendar. It was just, I think was it September or whatever, we were in India, and it just went boom. Absolutely zero. And that was because running in India is a complete nightmare. It is so dangerous. And it wasn't even as humid as Thailand, so that didn't stop me. It was hot, but if you got up early, it would have been fine. I think I did like 1 run in India, but the traffic is just so crazy. I think once you get out of the cities, like the big cities, there is no such thing as a sidewalk in India. It's like the road and the pedestrians and the vehicles, the cars, the trucks, the motorbikes, the cows, of which there's millions, they all share the road. And it's just like, just have at it, right? See where you can go. And I was like, I'm not running in this. I'm going to die. We had to drive a bit when we were there. We rented a scooter because we were volunteering. We had to get to the place. It was at this place called Animal Aid. And yeah, it was borderline suicidal. It was crazy. So there was no way I was running when I was there, just way too dangerous. So that one was really my fault. Anyway, it's funny because you look at my running calendar, and I think that the following month we went back to the UK to see my family. And my running volume just shot up so much. Like, I don't know what I did that month. I think I did like 150K or something because the temperature was cool. I was working again. I started working as a physio when I went back to the UK. So I had my habit. I could go in the morning, I could go in the evening. It was nice and cool. It was pleasant. I wasn't training for anything, but I knew I probably would be running something soon, or at least I'd be getting back into regular training for something. So all the 4 reasons that I'd stopped kind of went away, and I was off to the races again. And this brings me to my second point for you, Celia, is that be cautious if you do get very motivated and you get back into it about doing too much too soon. Like, I see this all the time with people getting back into running because I'm a physio, so when they get injured, they come to see me. And yeah, I got injured. It was my Achilles tendon that time. So I think after about 6 weeks, my Achilles started to hurt. And it wasn't that I had a true pathology. Actually, what I had was a healthy tendon that I was just doing too much with. It just wasn't ready for that change in volume from, steadily coming down throughout the year until 0 when I was in India, and then shooting right back up to almost as high as when I was, full marathon training, however long it was, like 9 months earlier. So yeah, don't do that. So why did you stop? Why do you want to get back into it? For me, I wanted to get back into it because I know I love it. There's lots of reasons why I run, but one of the main reasons I run is I like to have a project to work towards. It was first of all, it was like, be able to do, way back it was like, I want to be able to run 10K. Then it was like, I want to be able to run a marathon. That took a long time because I kept getting injured because I kept doing it wrong. And then it was, how am I doing for time here? Not too bad. Then it was, I want to get my marathon under 4 hours. but then I did that, and then we went away, and it was like no goal anymore. And then I really struggled when we got back. I started running again once we got back to Canada, but not a lot. It was hard because we were living in Kincardine, where Christine's from, with her mom, while I was getting my registration stuff sorted, so I could start working again. And there was loads of snow, just loads and loads of snow. It wasn't that cold, but it was just every day there would be a big pile of snow, and it was so hard to run in. So that really restricted me for another few months. Plus my Achilles was hurting, so I had to rehabilitate that. And then, later that year, we were here in Red Deer in Alberta, and it was actually getting into triathlon that got me motivated again. So it wasn't the running so much, it was like I needed a new exciting goal, and I wasn't sure what it was going to be. And I was put off by triathlon because triathlon's like, you got to buy all the gear. I was like, I didn't have a road bike. I knew how to swim, but I didn't go to the pool regularly or anything like that. I'm not a good swimmer. So there was all this kind of stuff that I had to learn or buy that kind of intimidated me from going into triathlon. But then I forget where I heard about it, but about the Xterra triathlon, which is a race in Canmore where it's like off-road. So you run the trails, you bike on your mountain bike, and you swim in the lake. And I was like, well, I've got a mountain bike already. I already enjoy mountain biking. That'll be really fun. And I just have to learn to swim, really. Well, learn, the habits of swimming. And then I got super motivated, right? And then it was like, okay, I got to put my habits in place. So I would play around with my weekly schedule. It's like, okay, well, it's going to be, what mornings did I did it Friday afternoon. I went to the pool straight from work. So I would bike from work to the pool. And then, I can't remember which day. I think it was Wednesday morning. I would swim at the pool, then go for a sort of medium length bike ride on my way to work. So I had those two sort of cornerstone habits, right, for the week. And then on the Sunday, I would do a long run in the morning because that's just typical for me. And then I just added in a long bike ride, so a mountain bike ride on the Saturday morning, and that worked pretty well. And then the other days, then Monday was a rest day, and I can't remember what the other days were, but essentially I put the workouts in my commute the way I've always done, and that worked very well. And all of a sudden I had my goal, I had my sort of plan. I had a training plan, which I'd acquired from online, just a free one, because I wasn't too worried about doing super awesome in the race. And then I just scheduled it in a way where I knew I'd be able to stick to it. And it went with my habits of using commuting as my time to train. So I was motivated again. I had my habits back, I had my routine back. All of a sudden I'm off to the races, and I'm back training regularly, running, biking, swimming, and having fun, really enjoying it. So, I feel like I've been talking about myself a lot. This is a little strange for me. Normally I just talk about running a little more generally, but I guess this is why this question hit home for me, because I had this problem exactly up until just last year. So all the psychological stuff about getting going again. Let me see how I'm doing for time. Yeah, I've got to stop for just a second, so I'll just cut here and then restart.